Tom Clark's Main Event is a Boink Studios production. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Boink Studios, and check us out on boinkstudios.com, where you can see all of our projects, past, present, and future. And now, on with the show.
This is Daddy's show. Step off.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to the program, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark, and you are listening to Tom Clark's Main Event. This is episode number 92 of the podcast, and if you're joining us today for the very first time, we'll bid you welcome. If you're coming back for a repeat visit, we say, hey, thanks for checking back in with us. And to all those involved, we will extend to you, as always, the customary laurel and a hearty handshake. Thanks for listening. Thanks for reading. Thanks for supporting. And hey, thanks for always being there, Doc. Episode number 92. We are fastly approaching the big 100, the big 00, the big 100. It's 100, okay? I don't know what to tell you. How are you guys doing out there? Glad you are with us. We appreciate your business as always. This was a cool episode for us here at Boink Studios. This past weekend was the Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Kakalaki, I think is JYD used to call it. It was cool this year. Usually we go on Saturdays. Or the Saturday, I should say. This year we ended up going on Friday. It was pretty cool. It was the weekend of Money in the Bank. So there's no Money in the Bank spoilers on here. There's no money, if you haven't seen it, there's no Money in the Bank rundown or anything like that. That'll come later. I haven't even written about Money in the Bank since it happened, to be honest with you. I wrote about Money in the Bank for like 4 straight weeks, it seems. Maybe 6. 4 to 6 straight weeks. Some sort of Money in the Banked out. Do you know what I'm saying? So this episode was nothing but, and actually this is part 1. This is part 1 of the episode. Part 2 follows on Tom Clark's 30-Minute Fun Show. That's how we hook you. See, we hook you to get you to listen, and then part 2 is followed on Tom Clark's 30-Minute Fun Show. So this episode is pro wrestling focused. We talk about Brock Lesnar. We talk about some other things in the business, Raw, SmackDown, what could or could not happen at Money in the Bank, things like that. And we cover a little bit of everything. This was a fun episode. It was a blast, actually. We had a fun time down there. My feet still hurt, which is funny because it's like 3 days later. But it's always a good time, always a fun time when we get to go. So, and I've been going since 91. We do have a special guest star this time, a really good friend of ours, of the studio here also, Greg Ramsey. Greg is Greg and I go way back. We've known each other since, I think we counted it up one time. It's around 95, I believe. He's been going with us to the con around 96, maybe. He would know off the top of his head which one his first one was. I know my first one was 91. So it's, like I said before, it's always fun. It's had its ups and downs over the years, but thanks to the advent of the Marvel Extended Universe and comic books taking over the world as we know it, which has been the coolest thing ever for yours truly. We left with a lot of swag, some cool stuff. But don't you worry out there, pro wrestling fans. We, like I said before, this part of the episode is pro wrestling heavy. So kick back, relax, take it all in. Yes, the boy is on here as well, my co-host on Tom Clark's 30-Minute Fun Show, my son Wesley. Although he slept through much of the drive down there, and some of the drive back, actually. But part 1 was recorded on the way to Charlotte, and part 2, which takes place on Tom Clark's 30-Minute Fun Show, was recorded on the way back. So, as we said before, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being with us. Glad you came back. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And as soon as the audio for the episode is over, we'll be back to wrap things up. So hold tight, and here we go. Okay, so we're on the road, folks. Where are we heading? Tell them where we're heading.
The con.
What's the con? Like an ex-con?
Con.
Oh, I see. A comic book convention. Where at?
Charlotte.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Woo! Oh man, that's good stuff. So yes, as I said before, guest stars on the show this time. This time the main event's on the road, and we're going to go encounter all things comic book and geek culture. We're sitting here having a conversation about Brock and Universal Title and all this other stuff. And once again, it occurs to me we're not recording this because we do this all the time. I don't know why, but we just do. So we're talking about Brock and about who we think the ideal person is to face Brock Lesnar for the Universal Title. My pick, you don't have to go with my pick if you don't want to, but my pick is Finn Balor as the Demon. I think he's the one guy that, we've never seen an opponent get in the head of Brock and play mind games with him. Bray had like 10 minutes of it, but it didn't last very long. We've never seen anyone really do it. I mean, who you got? Anybody better than Finn that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head.
Because we've seen Owens. Owens didn't work Brock, did he?
I don't think he did.
Not on a one-on-one match.
Not yet.
No, because Owens got squashed by Goldberg that year. And then Goldberg lost the title. By the way, Brock Lesnar has just surpassed CM Punk's.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. He's up to like 439 days now or something.
That's 2 for Paul Heyman.
That's true.
Yeah.
WWE actually put the graphic up on WWE.com showing the longest title reigns of the modern era, and Punk's picture is on there, which was quite shocking to me.
Yeah.
I guess they felt like they couldn't ignore it because fans would lose their minds over it. So, but here's another thing, and I might have the numbers wrong here, but 434 days for Punk, 150 title defenses. Brock's had 10.
That's amazing,
isn't it? How do you even? Yeah.
I mean, how can you be proud of that, really?
Brock's got to feel great. I'm not just talking about in his bank account, but I'm talking about physically. Hey, Brock, how you doing? I feel fine. Well, he's not getting beat up anymore. He's not getting punched in the mouth. He's not in the octagon. He's not bruising his knuckles. He just gets paid. That's a great gig if you can get it.
Yeah, I'd take that.
Life is good for Brock Lesnar. That's my next column. Life is good for Brock Lesnar. Oh, man. So, Money in the Bank coming up Sunday. You going to watch, by the way?
No, I'm gonna look at the highlights on Raw next night. But,
well, you're invited to come watch it if you'd like to hang out. But we know how antisocial you are.
Yeah, just like that song by Anthrax. I'm antisocial.
That's right. Crazy. So the plan here, folks, is to do around 30 minutes for the main event, and then we do the part 2 on Tom Clark's 30-minute fun show. And now that I've said it, we've committed to it.
There's no going back.
There's no turning back now. So we may actually do, I don't know, I haven't decided if we're going to do both parts on the way to the con or 1-2 and on the way from. But usually after the con, we're so exhausted, no one's talking. The boy's asleep. One of us is nodding off, and it's like...
Hopefully it's not the driver.
No, just like... Well, that's what the cops are there for, to gently remind you that it's not a good idea to nod off as you're driving the car. Don't operate the motor vehicle while asleep. It tends to not work out too well for the driver or anyone else in the car.
And the passengers and,
anyone else on the road. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's all good. Well, know why? Airbags. We're good. So,
wonderful invention.
It is, yeah. I mean, it saves your life, man. And so, never had an airbag pop on me. I imagine that would not be fun. What were we talking about? How rich Brock Lesnar is.
And how good he feels.
Right. Brock Lesnar's in better shape right now than any of us are.
I mean, it's not saying much, but
I got aches and pains. I bet he don't have any aches and pains. I don't know. It's the most it's the most dominant booking of our lifetime, and we're old. But I can't recall anyone in my lifetime who has had this sort of booking. I don't know. The closest you could come to is maybe Hogan.
That's what I was thinking just now. Hogan,
Yeah. In terms of wins and losses, right?
Right.
Because Hogan won all the time. To pin Hulk Hogan is to shake hands with God. I mean, that just you don't get to do that too often, and I don't. Yeah.
And to me, that was the biggest shock when I was a kid to see Hogan lose. I was like,
Yeah.
no way.
Remember when Andre ripped the crosser off his neck?
Yeah.
And it's funny, we've talked about this, but even as a kid, you're fascinated by Hogan because that was the point that kids were supposed to be into him, and they were. A lot of us were. But, at the same time, you and I were born and bred on Jim Crockett Promotions, and even watching Hogan on the other channel, it still didn't feel real.
Yeah. And if I had the choice, I was always watching NWA over WWF.
Yeah. Yeah, it just felt made up. Like none of pro wrestling is made up. Of course it is. But it really felt like, and WWE still has that problem or that habit of hanging a sign up over the camera that says, hey, by the way, this is all phony.
Yeah, when
they still do it.
Heels and babies are, laughing and joking together.
Oh, don't get me started on that. On this very program, I have went off about guys and gals being on social media and abusing it because they'll have like a hard-fought main event match, and then 5 minutes later you see them on Instagram hugging each other, posing, smiling, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, they just ruined
their
performance.
Yeah, ruined it. I'll say this for Brock, and that's a great segue right there. I'll say this for him: dude doesn't break kayfabe. There's not a ton of Brock Lesnar interviews floating around. There's some, but number one, he doesn't like people. He and I have that in common. But we don't have the rich thing in common, but we have that in common. But he doesn't really grant a lot of interviews, and he doesn't sit down and talk about what he's done or what he's doing occasionally. If it's like at a convention or like an expo, or if it's like there's an event coming up and Heyman's hanging out with him and stuff, they'll give an interview. But Heyman's doing the talking.
Right.
And Brock's rude. It ain't a character. This is who he is. So I'll say this for the guy. He's full on in it.
He does try to make it real.
He does. And I'll tell you something else he doesn't get credit for. Brock can sell like crazy. If you watch Brock in a match where he's selling, he looks like a pro boxer. I mean, he doesn't get enough credit for selling the move. Now, it's hard to hurt him because of, he's the beast and he's dominant and all this other stuff. Well, you got to look the part. You got to play the part when you're booked that way, right? But there's been many matches where he sells, and you're like, man, is he really hurt?
Yeah. I've been surprised many times now, but the way he sells and everything, I'm like, I don't expect Brock Lesnar to get beat up like this.
Right. So when it happens, it means something. And like overselling is too much. When you don't sell enough, it's obvious the match is fake. It's phony. You're not really hurting each other, which is not the point. The point is to make fans believe you're legitimately trying to win the match, of course. You're going to do whatever it takes. Even if it means breaking the guy's arm, you're going to try to win this match.
So there's sort of a fine line there between too much and not enough.
Exactly. Crazy. But yeah, he doesn't get enough credit. And, it reminds me of, I think, was it Flair's book when he talked about Steamboat selling? He said that Steamboat used to watch professional boxing fights, to see what a man looked like when he got hit.
Right.
And so when you now go back and watch a Steamboat match and watch how he sells, when he has that look in his eyes that no one's home and his legs are turning to rubber, that came from studying tapes of boxing fights.
And I'll tell you this, whenever he did sell, it made me nervous for him in the ring. It made me worry about him.
Remember when Jake dropped him on his head outside the ring? Legit dropped him on his head?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, like, what? And then he went to pick him up, and Steamboat's out cold. I'm thinking he's done. It's over. He's killed him. I really thought he had killed him.
And they would never do anything like that in the old WWF.
Well, that was WWF.
Was it now?
Yeah. Jake had ripped up the mat on the outside, or there wasn't a mat on the outside, and he DDT'd him on the floor, right on the top of his head.
Oh, you're talking about... Okay.
Yeah. Jake and Steamboat.
I thought you said Jay, like as in Jay Youngblood.
Oh, maybe I did. Oh, dude, there's a throwback. I am friends with Jay's daughter on Facebook and Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, her name is Rika Jonas. I think I pronounced her first name right. But really nice girl. Grown up, got a family of her own, everything. And sometimes when I find a picture of Jay, I'll post it and tag her in it.
Cool.
Say, hey, I love this pic. Man, Jay died at 24. And I'm not going to get into the details of it because the details of it are kind of... It depends on who you believe what the truth is, but they're not very pleasant. But he died overseas. I'm pretty sure NWA was overseas somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. And he picked up something or got something. I don't know what
I
it
didn't
was.
know he was that young.
Yeah. Pretty sure he was 24.
But anyway, back to Jake dropping Steamboat on his head.
Yeah. Vicious. And like, it's the heat of the moment. Like, you can get mad at Jake for it. And maybe Steamboat didn't take the move properly or they didn't run through it. But when you're in character, you're the heat of the moment, man. It's hard to stop what you're doing and remember, like, you sort of are that character. Like, Brock is that character. That's who he is. That's not, people always say, and it's been said a million times if it's been said once, the best characters in pro wrestling are not characters. They're just you with the volume turned up. That's what Stone Cold was. Stone Cold was really Steve,
Yeah, if you're who your character is, then, I think it works better.
You never have to get in character.
Right.
You never have to be the boogeyman, which is, nonsense. I always hated that. You never have to, I go put this mask on and change the way I talk and,
Too much work.
Too much work.
Yeah.
Too much of an effort. Like, I don't know. If you can pull it off, you can pull it off. And it can be pulled off. Matt Bourne as Doink the Clown, the first and original Doink the Clown. There's been a lot of rip-offs over the years. There were rip-offs when he was still Doink the Clown, when he was still alive.
Yeah,
Wait, is Matt Bourne alive or is he dead?
I don't know.
I can't even remember.
He really did pull that off pretty good. I mean, it became famous after that.
Oh, dude, when he was the heel Doink, dude, that was scary.
And how about that music? It would start off real cheerful and playful like, and then all of a sudden it go dark.
Yeah. So it can happen. You can get it. Well, to Undertaker. Undertaker's not a grave digger. He's not a zombie. He's not a supernatural being. He's just a dude that rides Harleys. But like, he pulled it off. He made you believe. So it's not impossible. It can be done. But I do think the ones that are the easiest, like we said, are the guys that... Shawn Michaels. Heartbreak Kid was just an extension of who Shawn Michaels was. Not so much now. But at the time, yeah.
Yeah, he's too old to be the Heartbreak Kid now.
Yeah, he ain't breaking no hearts now. Shawn got a haircut, by the way.
I saw that.
Yeah.
He finally did it, huh?
Yeah, he bit the bullet. There's rumors about him coming back for one match. That's a mistake.
Who do you think?
Right now, the biggest rumor is Tommaso Ciampa in NXT. Because Tommaso's on the best heel run that company's ever seen. He's killing it. But for guys like us, I'm sure, Shawn's last match needs to be with Undertaker, and it needs to be over. And it's over. He walked away. Let it go. You don't need to come back. They don't need him. Right? He doesn't need them.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's, done his part.
He's a trainer at NXT now,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I don't know how often he's there. I'm sure he still lives in Texas, but I don't know if he makes the commute to Florida or what. Traffic, folks, it's a real thing. It sucks.
Black Panther.
I see you back there with that Black Panther mask on.
We got to pick up litter ahead? What is that?
I'm not doing it. They flag you down. If you want to keep driving this road, you got to help pick up litter.
Even if it's just one piece.
Yeah. Get out of the car, sir.
Pick it up.
Pick it up. Pick it up. Oh. Yeah, I stick to my guns. I say Balor, but he's not winning Money in the Bank. It's going to be a SmackDown guy, and I think it's probably going to be The Miz. Why? Because The Miz is awesome. He came to play. So, The Miz, winning Money in the Bank. How you feel about that? You think it fits?
I don't know. I mean, if it made sense, if it all made sense, the biggest guy would win, Braun Strowman.
True.
But then again, there's the thing about climbing the ladder,
And if it made sense, the big guy would win everything.
True.
Every match. Braun would be a multi-time Universal Champ or the longest reigning Universal Champ in the history of the planet. I mean, bigger than Brock. So, tricky time. How do you get off the exit and stay on the exit? Like, sometimes I just like driving in a circle.
Wait.
It's funny. Yep. At the last minute. Wait, I need to be over there. It's funny every time. My go-to voice for a character is a redneck. I don't know. It's every time. It's never a British dude. It's never a medieval. It's never a cowboy. It's always. It's never a smart guy. It's always an idiot. That's my go-to voice.
You are obsessed.
I am, isn't it? It's kind of scary how obsessed I truly am.
Everybody's got to be obsessed with something, right?
Yeah, it's my vice. I don't have a lot of. Whoa! What was that? Did you hear that?
I heard that.
Did you do something back there, kid? Man, well, you know what they say about live? There's no accidents when you're live. That we meant for that to happen.
I'm obsessed with Fortnite.
No kidding. If you're wondering why the boy is so quiet, it's because he doesn't really watch pro wrestling that much with me.
Yep.
So when we get to the 30-minute fun show, we'll probably be able to shut him up. So I see The Miz winning, and here's why. It leads directly back to Daniel Bryan. Bryan's back in the ring, looking great. This past Tuesday, he worked Shelton Benjamin on SmackDown. Dude, Daniel Bryan is just...
He's full throttle again?
Full throttle. Dude, if you could see him against Benjamin at SmackDown, it's like he was a different person. He has this mode he gets in, like beast mode or something. It just... He's all business. And I don't care how small he is. If that dude was coming at me, I would be taking a step back. Because he looks like he's ready to kill somebody. Which is why it works for him.
And I haven't seen Shelton Benjamin in years. How is he looking?
Shelton looks great, man. He was with Chad Gable. Because Benjamin replaced Jason Jordan in that tag team on SmackDown.
Okay.
But then Gable got traded to Raw, which was a great idea. That's sarcasm. So, Benjamin looks great. And I mean, if you're Daniel Bryan, if you're a pro wrestler and you got a list and you're on SmackDown, you got a list of guys and Benjamin's name's on there, you're like, oh, let me work with Shelton. Because he's so good. He's a natural. He can do anything in the ring. And you want to work with a guy that can do anything.
Oh, yeah, because you both look good.
Yeah, exactly. So, man, you really don't stay in touch with it that much. How much have you watched lately? When's the last big show you saw?
The last big show? Big show. WrestleMania.
Really?
Yeah, at your house.
Wow. Crazy. It was a good show, man.
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed it. And I didn't enjoy the way I felt the next morning.
Wiped out.
Yeah. No sleep.
It's like an all-night party or so. Well, God, WrestleMania was 7 hours.
I know. That blows my mind now.
That's a marathon. That's
how long was it used to being the length?
I don't know. Before
4 hours, maybe.
Maybe before the pre-show and all the stuff. Yeah. But it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's like, and you know what? You can't scale it down now. And WrestleMania 34 was probably in the top 5 best of all time. I mean, agreed? It was
say so.
It was that good. So it's hard to scale it back. That's like telling the NFL to scale back the Super Bowl. How? It's the grandeur of the game. It's the main event, man. Like, you can't scale that back. You can't hit rewind,
And I think if anything, you're hyping it up more and more every year.
Yeah. Once you're in, right? There's no getting out of it. So I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. So we've got AJ and Nakamura, and someone told me yesterday it's like this is the 8th time.
Already?
Is it 8? Counting tag matches? I don't know. I don't know if that number's true or not.
So they're pretty familiar with each other by now. Right?
Oh, yeah. And they're having fun. There again, when you got two guys that are that good, of course, it's like automatic working with each other,
Flair and Steamboat.
But unlike Flair and Steamboat, this feud is losing the crowd because Nakamura does that nut shot thing a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm.
He does it. He's done it a lot now. And it's so much so that people are like, okay, is that all that's going to happen in this feud? This is ridiculous.
So, and then they get to where they're expecting, okay, here it comes.
I would say you're right, yeah. My explanation for that is very simple. AJ's shtick is, he's a family guy. He prides himself on being a tough guy. He prides himself on being a hard worker and being the best. And once a guy like that beats you, why would he want to face you again? You're no longer a challenge to him. See, he wants to work the best. So he beats you, and he's like, all right, cool, I'm moving on. Who else you got? I want to test myself again. So he beats Nakamura at Mania. Nakamura does the low blow. He's done it a bunch since then. And my explanation is this. Nakamura knows what kind of guy AJ is, and he knows what AJ prides himself on. Why would AJ want to work Shinsuke again? Why would he want to face him again and say, look, all due respect, I respect you as a wrestler, but I've already beaten you. I've got nothing left to prove. But by taking the low road, literally, on AJ, Shinsuke is keeping AJ on the hook.
He's keeping it personal.
Thank you. He's made it personal. He's pissed him off. And to the point now where AJ's like, now I want to kill him. I'm sick of this.
And do you think that was Nakamura's plan all along, just to get him out of his game?
Absolutely. It's mind games. He does this thing where someone will ask him a question, he'll go, no, speak English. And he just smiles, and everyone's kind of laughing. He's done it a bunch. And there was a backstage sit down behind a table. I can't remember if it was a contract signing or not. And he's just sitting there looking at him, just smiling at him. And AJ smacks him right in the face.
I saw that.
Like a girl. But yeah, this is all mind games. This is just as much of a mind game as Mark Calloway pretending to have supernatural powers. Alright, so if you've never watched wrestling, you see The Undertaker, you're like, what kind of hokey nonsense is this? But take it in the context of real men. Mark Calloway's not a supernatural entity with powers beyond your understanding. The entire thing is a mind game. He's got you from the moment the music hits. He's already in your head from the moment the music hits and the fog goes up. He's not even in the ring yet, and you're already taking a step back.
Yeah, nobody can look away,
Yeah. And a color commentator could really expose that, could have fun with that. Guys like Paul Heyman did that, I believe, where they would say, this is all mind. Jesse Ventura did it all the time. It's all mind games, but man, don't you understand? That's what this is. He doesn't really believe that, but now he's in his head. So that's to me, that's what Shinsuke is doing. So.
And by the way, the interview we were talking about the contract signing, I watched that, and I loved Nakamura's performance in that because AJ goes through this thing about mind games, and he's tired of Nakamura, and he smacks him, or before he smacks him, Nakamura, he yawns like he's he's bored. And then when he takes out, he asks to borrow the pen that AJ's just signed with. He goes, pen no work.
Yeah.
Pen broke. And then AJ gets mad, smacks him. They have to, drag AJ out of the room.
Yeah.
And then when Nakamura and you can see him smiling, he takes out his own pen.
Yep. Yep.
That was great.
Did you see his eye? He caught him in the eye with that slap, man. It was good stuff. His eye was swelling up. Yeah, that's why I don't mind the feud. It's working for me. I have no problem with it at all. A lot of other people are upset with it. Not me. I dig it. I think it's fine. Plus, you get to see two of the best in the world work each other. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah. series of matches.
Mm-hmm. It's like complaining because I have to watch Flair versus Steamboat again. Oh, no one ever says that.
You want to see that?
Yeah, no one ever says that. So, yeah, man. What else is going on Sunday? Oh, Brock Lesnar is... Oh, that's right. Brock's not there.
He's not defending?
Nah, not so much. This is like a Brock Lesnar heavy episode of Tom Clark's Main Event. So, what else is going on? So,
well, you got Roman and
Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal.
In a match that I like to call, Why Do I Care About This? That's the theme of this match. Why should I care about this?
You know something that's really surprised me here? Well, at least Monday night. I don't know if it's just started then or before. I think fans are starting to cheer Roman a little bit more now. Have you noticed that?
He's working Jinder. Jinder's full-blown heel. Jinder's not The Miz. He's not Owens, where he's a charming heel. He's a funny heel. Jinder has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. He's probably the only guy in that company that can work Roman and still get booed. Because fans are like, I hate this guy. Jinder's not funny. If Jinder were the funny heel from 3MB, then they'd be cheering the crap out of this guy.
That's right. I'd forgotten about that.
Mm-hmm. And McIntyre's back now.
Yeah, I saw him in the ring.
And I think Slater's on Raw too, isn't he? They need to have a spot where they all three kind of end up in the same place backstage at one point.
Yeah. Like maybe hey, let's have for old time's sake. Nah.
It's like, yeah, right. Where Slater's like, been a while, boys. When's the last time I seen you? Something, you know.
Yeah, they'll probably do that eventually.
God, talk about, I know we're jumping off topic. Drew McIntyre, my God. Has he ever looked better?
Never.
Dude. Yeah.
He is more physically imposing now.
Yes, he is. Drew is he's a beast. I mean, he looked good in Impact, but my God, he is just physically looks amazing and looks good in the ring. And I kind of think putting him with Dolph Ziggler's a dead end.
Yeah.
But I think Dolph's a dead end too, to be honest with you.
He has fallen into that pit, I guess.
Yes, he has. Unfortunately. This is it's not a destination for him. It's a pit stop. A lot of people are like, oh, Drew's here. He's amazing. Well, Roman, see ya. And because people hate Roman, right? They hate Roman more than they hate paying taxes, and that's a lot. But like, they said, well, Drew's here now, so Drew's our guy. Remember, they used to call him the Chosen One?
Yes.
Boom, he's back. Let's do this. Here's my thing about it. He needs to be with Dolph for a while, even though I feel like it's a dead end, if only to keep him distracted from the main event. Because Drew needs time. Just because he looks physically impressive and he can still work in the ring, he still looks good, he can still go. What happened to the last long-haired, strong dude that they decided to push up the ladder really quick? How'd that work out? Roman? Not too good. It worked out for Roman's checkbook.
That's about it, yeah.
Nothing else.
It did nothing for the fans.
Did nothing for the fans. WWE made money. As long as WWE's making money, he ain't going anywhere. So the question you got to ask yourself, how much money is there to be made with Drew McIntyre? An Irish-born WWE superstar. Now, Roman is Samoan. Oh, I like that. The Samoan Roman. But, and this is not to sound all like that about it, but Roman speaks English. He's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see where you're going with this.
You see what I mean?
Drew brings another flavor in.
Yeah. And I don't know. When's the last time WWE had a top guy that was not from the United States? Now, I'm not talking Bret Hart from Canada either. I mean, he had a messed up accent as well.
I was about to do my Bret Hart impersonation, but I just started laughing.
Hey, what are you talking about? Yeah. I can't do that. If I do that very long, my throat will start hurting. I won't be able to talk anymore.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't do it.
Yep. No, listen, and I'm not trying to be all like that about it. I don't care. I love the idea of Drew as the top guy. I'm just saying, if you're in that company and you're calling the shots, how do you feel about that? Is that... Now, internationally, they would have the audience.
Of course.
Right? And I just don't know how the company would feel about it. Now, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I don't give WWE enough credit for not caring about things like that. And again, if Tom's booking the show, I start putting plans in place today. Not for WrestleMania 35, but for maybe WrestleMania 36. It's nothing that needs to happen right now. And I'm telling you this is something that's been in my head a lot recently. Is the top guy system of WWE. Do they really need that right now? They just signed a $1 billion deal with Fox. SmackDown is moving to Fox.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes. WWE is going to make guaranteed money now. Not money based upon sponsors or any of this other nonsense. Guaranteed TV deal. And it's SmackDown. It's not even wrong. Well, the top guy, supposedly is Roman Reigns. He's on Raw. Right? So, their top guy wasn't even part of the package. So, do they really care about it right now? Don't they have enough money coming in? Don't they have enough equity? Don't they have enough income? Don't they have enough, profit?
You would think.
That they don't have to worry about? Oh my God, this... Like when Stone Cold left, do you know what kind of damage it did to that company?
Oh yeah.
When he, the famous saying that he took his ball and went home because he didn't want to work Brock Lesnar, and he shouldn't have worked Brock Lesnar. It was too soon for Brock. It did damage to that company. They fell. A lot of people lost a lot of money, and that company lost a lot of money. If Roman left right now, I don't think it would matter.
No. It's not the same, definitely.
I guess the system in place is no longer geared toward, a top guy. He's the moneymaker. He's the top draw. I guess now the entire show's the draw, right?
Yeah, all the parts coming together to make the whole.
Yeah. Which is different as well, but it's been done before. How do you feel about getting some food before we get there? Like, let's get into Charlotte and then we'll... Have you ate?
I had a couple of biscuits this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what the fun part for you is going to be is watching us eat.
But, I could probably... What time is it now?
10:10. If we don't get there at 11 o'clock on the dot, is that going to be a problem?
No.
Oh, traffic, baby. This is why Dim Clark boys and Ramsey the Downtrodden are taking Highway 16 home. Remember that name? I love that name.
I love it.
Behold the plight of Ramsey the Downtrodden.
Yeah, it's something that's stuck.
I had to put on my license, I'm telling you. It's like you go to the doctor's office. Ramsey the Downtrodden? Here.
You get up slowly.
I'm right here. Wow, you really look downtrodden.
You really live up to your name.
Yeah. Well, we're at a standstill now, and we were going to go ahead. We'll get to the 30-minute fun show at some point, but our third wheel is asleep in the back.
Already?
He's been out for a while, yeah.
He's resting up for the con.
We'll use that. That works. What's funny is when he was a baby, he would get fussy and stuff. The minute we got in the car and rode around, dude, he was fine. He loved being in the car, right? It's the motion. It puts him to sleep. That's a lot of why people go to sleep in the car.
Except for hopefully the driver.
Oh.
Yeah. I forgot about Friday traffic.
Yeah, we should have took 16. It'll be all right. So, Heroes Con in Charlotte. We were discussing the possibility of going to the Raleigh SuperCon, most because their guest list is like 99% better than Heroes Con. Heroes Con is more of a comic book convention. SuperCon is more of a comic book culture convention. Try saying that fast 3 times. You can't do it. Batista will be at SuperCon. Christian will be at SuperCon. Who else wrestler was there?
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley. Blue Pants from NXT. You don't know who that is. It's funny.
It's intriguing already, though.
It's funny. When Enzo Amore and Cass were in NXT, there was a chick that had come back, and I forget what gimmick she used, but she wore this blue ring gear. And because the crowd in NXT is the way it is, and they chant all kinds of hokey stuff, they're talking about Blue Pants because that's what she wore. So then, Blue Pants they would start calling her Blue Pants. So her theme song became, on the audio, over the speakers, it was Big Cass doing the theme to The Price is Right. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. And the fans were singing along with it. I have no idea how The Price is Right got into this, but it was hilarious. And it was just one of those little small things that actually clicked. And now she's on the convention circuit as Blue Pants. Hey, it's a living.
Yeah.
These people are paid to be there. They're not showing up for free. And while they're there, they can peddle their merchandise. They got glossy photos. They autograph for you, charge you $40 or whatever. I bet just to take a picture with Batista is like $100 or something.
Yeah. Better bring your checkbook.
Bring your credit card, fool. Okay, so we bounce. We're bouncers. We're like Tigger, except not as annoying. So let's bounce to the Batista. Huge fan of Batista in the Marvel films. Avengers Infinity War, right?
Yeah, love it.
Amazing. Batista is, and we're about to all get killed. Easy. Welcome back, son. Feel them brakes?
No.
I did.
I felt something on my leg.
Love Batista in the Marvel films. Love Batista as an actor. By the way, the newest one, it's Hotel, what's it called?
Artemis.
Yeah. I've read reviews said he's very good in this movie.
Just in the short clips, the previews, I mean, it does look like he is good in the movie.
Now, you love him there. Do you love him back in WWE? How are we feeling about that?
I don't know. I think he's more movie star now, in my opinion.
I think so too. And there's only a few guys that they haven't thrown at Brock, and he's one of them. And I think that, you know what, if it's me, I would think that's how I would let Brock go out. Lose the belt to Batista. Why not? Because the WWE has shown all right, so look. What I believed 2 years ago, and it was poor judgment on my part, I believed that they're saving the big defeat of Brock Lesnar for the guy that's going to carry the company. And I thought, well, that's Roman. He's going to beat him at 34. We all knew it, and he didn't do it. We were shocked. Remember, we sat there
yes.
What? And why would you save it? Because, as we said earlier, it has to mean something. Beating Brock has to mean something, okay? So if he goes all this time with very little losses, Goldberg's the only guy, right? All this time being this dominant, then he brings that reputation and that dominance to the table. And when the guy beats him,
it's going to transfer to him.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes.
That one match.
He'll have bragging rights for life. Just like they like to say Undertaker's streak was ended by Brock. Brock's dominance was ended by so-and-so. But it's pretty freaking obvious that WWE has no intention of doing that now, or they would have done it by now, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we thought it was Roman. We were wrong. We were so wrong.
So if that's not the plan, then just bring Batista back, give him the belt, and then put someone over on Batista.
And how do you think the fans would receive Batista now?
I think it depends on how it happened. Here's what I think. I think the reason it worked for Goldberg is, number one, there's a mystique around Goldberg. There still is, by the way. Even with all the backstage interviews and his kid in the ring with his shirt off and all this other stuff, there's still a mystique around Goldberg that's always going to be there, because you look in that dude's eyes and he's scary. You know what I mean? Scary. Again, you don't want him mad at you. But how did it work? Why did it work? I think it worked because they set it up to where they called him out. Goldberg didn't call Brock out. Brock called Goldberg out. Heyman said Goldberg's name first. And that's what brought Goldberg back to the company.
Yeah, because you don't question Goldberg's manhood.
No.
Of course.
And I think that's how they could do it. I think that somehow or another, Heyman or Brock, and Heyman could just be gloating over the fact that, yeah, well, my client's unbeatable, and, we've taken everyone down, and he had one misstep, and that was against Bill Goldberg, and we conquered Bill Goldberg and all this other stuff. There's no one left, and all this mess. And then you could even put plants in the crowd, if you wanted to start chanting Batista's name. Because if it doesn't happen organically, then you have to set it up.
And on that point, isn't that how they got the Goldberg chant started? They piped audio in?
They did. WCW did.
Yeah.
WWE did.
Right.
From what I understand, WWE did not do that.
So that was actually a smart move, though.
And they did it in WCW to begin with, but then, supposedly, it just caught on. But I'm talking about physical plants in the crowd start chanting Batista's name. But, to your point, they could actually start putting it in the sound system. But it doesn't, to me, that might be too much. Like, if you got to make that much effort, then don't do it. Right? But I think that's how it would begin. Or Batista would be back, like, in the same week a movie is getting ready to debut.
Promote it.
Yeah, and then maybe Heyman interrupts him. Or they end up, like, having a segment where, like, Heyman's out next. He just goes ahead and comes out and kind of gets in Batista's way a little bit. They kind of exchange a look. I don't know. It could be anything like that. But to your point, if it were ever going to work, you had to ensure that Batista... First of all, Batista can't come back and beat Daniel Bryan. People hated him because of Daniel Bryan, because they wanted Bryan. They didn't want anybody else, and WWE wouldn't give him to him.
And that wasn't Batista's fault. It was the company's fault.
No, but Batista didn't handle it well either. He didn't handle it well. On the night that he won the Royal Rumble and they booed him for it, remember? He walks up the ramp. What you didn't see after the show went off the air, he's flipping off the fans on top of the ramp.
Really?
Yeah. I still maintain to this day that could have been salvaged. I still maintain that. If he had just called an audible, and don't tell me Batista couldn't call an audible if he had to. Well, Tom, I go out there and I do what I'm told. I don't believe that. I don't buy that. I think he could have, when hearing the boos, I think he could have heard those boos. And unless the plan was to turn him heel, which I don't think it was, I think they turned him heel because the crowd turned on him.
Right.
I think the plan wasn't there. So what they could have done, he could have called an audible and made the motion to cut the music, take the mic and say, look, I know your favorite didn't win tonight, but no one in this building right now has more respect for Daniel Bryan than I do. I saw him come from nothing to come up to be the WWE superstar that he is today, and I appreciate that and I respect that. And I might be twice his size, but he's got more heart than anybody I've ever seen. And I know I'm not your favorite to win here tonight, but I want to tell all of you, it's an amazing feeling to be back, and I've missed this. And I want to thank you, whether you boo me or cheer me.
Wow.
Salute them, put the mic down the ring, take a bow, walk away.
See, this is why you need to write for WWE.
It's hard to hate that guy, right?
Yeah.
You can still boo him if you want to. And then the next night on Raw, you could even have them run into each other backstage. Daniel say, I heard what you said last night. I appreciate you saying that. And Batista's like, hey man, I meant every word, And don't make him out to be a girl or anything like that, where it's like, oh, we all have to get along, we all should be girlfriends and be best buddies. I'm not saying that. But just play it out to where, like, Batista's he's razor sharp focus. All he wants is Orton. And then you could even go further into a backstory about how during Evolution days, he and Orton had problems that they never talked about. And, maybe he held a grudge that he shouldn't have, but he's back to, take care of business.
That's great stuff, Tom.
Hey, I try. We just drove by a cop. I had to lower the phone, folks. Tom doesn't need a ticket. I'm sitting here, espousing creativity. Pull over.
thanks, but thanks for asking. It's a cardigan, though. I didn't quite get that right. But.
Right, no, you got it. We get it. Yeah, that's good. You're a writer, huh? Well, write your name on this ticket. Oh, are you awake now? Huh? Okay. I think we're going to call it a day here. And there we have it. That was it, folks. Episode 92 of Tom Clark's Main Event. As we said before, we had a blast recording this because we had a blast going to the con. Not a very long trip for us, man. It's around an hour to hour and a half to get to the convention center from where we live here in Hickory. And it was a fun ride, man. Fun convention. We always find something great about it. If you are a comic book nerd, any kind of pop culture nerd, or geek culture nerd, I should say, you had to go to a comic book convention, man. I highly endorse them. The bigger the better. You can get lost in the big conventions, but the big conventions also tend to have guest stars and also more stuff to choose from. There's a whole line of comic book convention etiquette that goes along with it, do's and don'ts and that kind of thing. Maybe we'll cover that stuff in another podcast at a later date. As we said before, this was recorded before Money in the Bank, so anything that happened after then, we're going to talk about it here on the show. I'll be writing about it again, I'm sure. Probably get back on the laptop here within the next 24 hours or so and start pumping out some work, especially on the Raw that follows Money in the Bank. So that's it for us. As we said, glad you joined us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, if you want to hear more, this time of the ride back from Heroes Con, you got to go check out Tom Clark's 30-minute fun show, baby. All you got to do is go to iTunes. We're everywhere. We're on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Windows Phone, Amazon Android. We're everywhere. So go check us out. Subscribe and download today. You'll be glad you did. We try to make it fun like we try to do here on the Main Event. We'll be back, and next time around, I'm sure I'll be back to the one-man show with yours truly. I got to plug a couple things here real quick. As we always say, check out Boink Studios for all your Tom Clark needs online, pro wrestling and otherwise. Go check us out. If you want to give me a follow on Twitter, it's at Tom Clark Writes, W-R-I-T-E-S, Tom Clark Writes. Also, if you want to give us a shout, Boink Studios at yahoo.com is our website. And also on Twitter at Boink Studios. Give us a follow, man. We'll follow you back. It's how we roll, baby. That's it for us. Thanks again for hanging out with us, man. We do appreciate it. And we will see you next time on Tom Clark's Main Event.